I'm traveling down the road to the Museum of Appalachia. I got my pedal to the floor, my truck is running faster.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, stop. Hold on a second.
What? What's going on?
Our viewers are here. They might want to go too.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you saw them. I didn't even see them there. Oh, wow. Where did they all come from? Can they all fit in here?
Hey, have you ever wondered what life was like for the pioneers of Southern Appalachia?
Have you ever wondered how they built their homes, grew their food, or what they did for entertainment?
If you want to discover the rich history and culture of this region, then watch this video to find out why you should plan a trip to the Museum of Appalachia. So, come on, climb in. After exiting the museum entrance building, you get a glimpse of the old buildings we'll be exploring. One of the first things we saw were some peacocks that were out roaming the grounds, which was really cool.
Then we came up to the Tom Cassidy house, this little 8x8 shack that the old bachelor lived in. He was quoted as saying, "I've got a little cot in there, a chair, a stove for heat and cooking, a frying pan, a bean pot, an old dresser, my fiddle, and my pistol. What more does a man need?"
Next stop was the Gwen Sharp Playhouse. Gwen's daddy had this little playhouse built for his only daughter when she was 5 years old. 6 years later, the TVA purchased 42,000 acres for the construction of the Norris Dam and Reservoir. It's said this is the only surviving structure that was moved to a new location. For a point of reference, this playhouse was bigger than the Tom Cassidy house.
Next stop was the Appalachian Hall of Fame. It houses many displays devoted to artifacts belonging to some of the most notable, historic, famous, and interesting, and colorful, and unusual folks from the surrounding region. It also contains hundreds of early handmade and unusual musical instruments and dozens of other exhibits.
This next one is amazing.
One of my favorites, actually. In the mid-1800s, there was a man by the name of Asa Jackson. He was an inventor and he built a perpetual motion machine. This machine has been passed down through 5 generations of Tennesseans. Although it failed to live up to its advertisement of running forever, it's a sight to behold.
No one really seems to know the original impulse for creating this thing or what kept him going through the years to try and perfect it. But rumor has it was $1 million reward to any inventor that could defy the laws of physics and create this perpetual motion machine.
Well, that sounds like motivation enough for me.
Yeah, and he was pretty serious about keeping it secretive too. He went as far as hiding his creation in a cave in Murfreesboro during the Civil War to keep it from being discovered.
Hey, look at here. It's good old Dr. Andrew Jackson Osborne's medicine house.
Yeah, he was somewhat of a pioneer of osteopathic medicine. He practiced for 40 years. They say people would walk for miles to visit his little medicine house. In fact, people say the patients that were too far away had just traveled to them by horseback on his old horse Joe. Some say he'd sleep on that horse's back, and when he reached the medicine house, old Joe would nudge the door open enough to wake the doc up. The doc never charged his patients, but those that could afford something would give him something for his services. He supposedly had a really good track record in fighting the flu back during the epidemic of the 1917 and 1918. Doc treated people all his life, and he was poor all his life. When he died back in 1937, they even had to borrow a suit to bury him in.
Oh man, it's Bill Monroe. He's the father of bluegrass music. Bluegrass actually got its name from his band, the Bluegrass Boys. And there's Grandpa Jones. I remember watching him on Hee Haw when I was just a kid. Of course, the tour wouldn't be complete without mentioning the Carter family and Johnny Cash, the man in black. These mountain folks can make music from anything. Look at this. This is made from a toilet seat. Banjo from a bedpan. There's one made from a gourd. Banjo made from a cookie box. There's another fiddle made from a gourd. Beautiful handmade baskets. The size of that one. I'll float down the river in that one.
Here's some of the handmade quilt patterns. Oh wow, check this out. Appalachia sure wasn't short on characters. George Burkhart. He had 6 children and they lived in a hollow tree in Harlan County, Kentucky.
How do you even do that? This place isn't short on artifacts. Look at all the wagons and machinery. I wouldn't want to sit in that chair for a dental checkup.
I know it sounds morbid, but I think that horse-drawn hearse is pretty cool. It's very elegant, even for today's standards.
Now this piece doesn't look all that interesting, but what a story behind it. They call it the thieving pig pie safe. It seems there was an old hog that ran free in the town. This was before they had fence laws. It would eat all the scraps and garbage around town. William Neal owned a hotel and he would store fresh butter in his pie safe. That old hog could smell the butter and she figured out how to open the front door and would go in and root around until the safe door would open. She would grab herself a pound of butter and take off. They wound up putting 3 locks on that pie safe, but they still couldn't keep the old sow out.
Alright, well let's head back outside and take a look at the buildings.
Alright. The Arnwine cabin was built somewhere between 1790 and 1820. The last inhabitants, Jane and Polly Arnwine, lived here till it was condemned in 1934. The cabin is representative of early pioneer dwellings in the Appalachia area.
These are some old jail cells from Madison, Tennessee. They were built to hold 4 prisoners each.
Here's another example of a colorful Appalachian character.
Okay, so apparently this Uncle Felix Bush planned and attended his own funeral. The story behind it was that he and a buddy, the buddy actually killed a deputy, and that buddy had a family, but Bush was a bachelor. So he agreed, in order for that guy's family to have a father and a husband, that he would take responsibility for it, knowing that most likely he wouldn't really go to jail. So he did actually not go to jail for it. In exchange, the buddy said he would leave his farm to him when he died. Well, the guy actually died, and his widow came to see Mr. Bush, and she said that he did not leave the farm to him. He thinks the will was forged, that he really was supposed to get the farm. But anyway, at the end of the day, he still felt guilty. Everybody thought he was guilty, and he wanted to clear his name. So in order to get everybody in town together, he scheduled his own funeral so that people would come, and it said it not only attracted everyone from the community, but also throughout the country. He planned to speak at some point to clear himself and implicate the true murderer and his family. So the family of the guilty party learned of his plan, and it was alleged they threatened him if he went through it. By that time, all his plans were too far along to cancel it, so he just became famous as the guy that attended his own funeral.
That's crazy.
This is an upping block. It was used in assisting with mounting and dismounting a horse.
This is the family of Mark Twain's house. Unbelievable. We're going to go in and see what this is like. This is quite amazing. Everything you could want in here. It's even got an upstairs loft in it. Can't go up there, but...
The cabin was moved here from Possum Trot, Tennessee. Looks like they're erecting a new one over there.
Now this one got me really excited. I mean, Daniel Boone, wow. Then I found out it was a replica from the CBS TV show. I mean, it was still really cool to see, and it's supposed to be based on the original building, so it holds value. But it wasn't the true artifact I built myself up for. Still worth seeing, just temper your expectations.
This one-room schoolhouse was used in the 1800s for about 100 years. It was relocated to the museum in 1974. I wonder if anyone influential went there. Peters Homestead house is one of the focal points of the museum. Nathaniel Peters lived here in the 1800s and raised his family there. His oldest daughter Cordelia was born there and raised her 9 children and lived out her life on the farm to 87 years old. This house is an example of what was called a saddlebags house. The 2 wings were connected to the central fireplace.
What a nice house this was. This house had an upstairs. And then you come in here on this end, it was just the kitchen. This was quite the nice house in its day.
The underground dairy was a cellar where perishables were kept.
Here we are at Popcorn Sutton's still. I might know him from Moonshiners. Anybody other than me watches that kind of stuff. The Joe Deal Sawmill is representative of the sawmills of the time used to process lumber. It's still used today to help recreate any wood that needs to be replaced to help maintain the authenticity of the buildings on display.
We hope you enjoyed this week's stroll through the scenic grounds of the Museum of Appalachia. There's so much to see and marvel at with the beautifully restored barns and gardens, seeing how resourceful the people of Appalachia were. It was really cool. They had a lot of ingenuity.
The Museum of Appalachia is a true treasure, preserving the history and culture of the region for future generations. If you're ever in the area, we highly suggest dropping in and exploring the rich and vibrant heritage. It's definitely one of our don't miss recommendations.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching this week's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more exciting destinations and cultural experiences. We appreciate your support. See you next week.
Outtakes, y'all.
With the beauty. Run forever. That's average. Seeing how resourceful the people of Africa.